Hi, Raymond Riss of Texas Construction Association. Glad you're with us for our 25th anniversary celebration. When I started working in the legislature back in 1980 something, not as a volunteer member, Subcontractor Association, things were, I'd say, more peaceful then. It seemed like the legislature was on a more even keel. We could, a lot more willingness to compromise on some matters than today, and it took a while, but we got our issues passed, some passed then, but since the formation of the Texas Construction Association in 1998, things have really picked up, and I'm happy to say we've made some improvements to the construction laws in Texas. And we're still faced with now a more contentious legislature, I would say. It seems like the Republicans and Democrats tend to hit heads more often. The House is pointing at the Senate is pointing at the House, saying it's all your fault. And we have to deal with that to get our issues passed, because there's 7,000 bills were filed last session, and that's every other year, to hopefully move our issues and get them passed. And it gets rough, and in this building, things get pretty tense sometimes. I mean, golly, it reaches a boiling point. You just never know what might happen or when. I try to look on the bright side of life, and one thing is that you're here, and that's a bright point for me. And two, I think we have another construction project for our members. Welcome.
I don't remember the exact year, but it was in the, I guess, early 90s. We just had a big fight over indemnity with AGC, and what happened was we just got taken to the woodshed. Basically, AGC tricked us. They scheduled a meeting with us in Dallas, and while that meeting was going on, they killed our bill in Austin. So after that, we all knew that we were outgunned and we were going to have to do something different. So we formed a committee. I was one of the committee members. We had several meetings, and we came up with this idea of an association of associations. So we pitched that to the ASAT board, and everybody kept hum-hawing around. Well, we don't know how we don't have the money. And finally, I just told them, look, man, we got to do something. You may not use this, but I said we're kind of like the little rabbit. We've already jumped up and showed our ass, now we got to run.
So the unreasonable allocation of risk to the subcontractor got to the point that that things needed to change, and the only way to change it effectively was by legislative advocacy. And the way we were doing it before, up until TCA, was with kind of a loose coalition of subcontractor trade associations, and those associations, I was kind of leading the effort on behalf of ASA of Texas, and those associations would contribute when they could, money-wise, or in spirit, or in grassroots efforts, but there wasn't really a buy-in.
It'd been decided that ideally we should have 1,500 subcontractors behind this effort. However, it was also decided that if you absolutely had to, you could maybe do it with 1,000 members. And, but it could not could not work with under 1,000. And so they had a vote, and sure enough, there were only the yes votes only represented in the high 800s or maybe the very low 900 subcontractor members, far below what the bare bones minimum requirement was. Consequently, I mean, you could have heard a pin drop in that room. Everybody's eyes were looking down. We were sitting at tables, and I remember my eyes looked down. It was depressing because the need was so great. And you know, in my view, subcontractors are the most abused people in business. It was needed. About that time, Keith Colvin from San Antonio stood up, came to his feet, and if any of y'all know Keith, he is a big, broad-shouldered, tall guy, and he has a real resounding voice. It carries very far. I bet he can't even whisper. He stood up and said, sometimes a person finds themselves in a situation where he or she can make a difference. You may not ask to be there, but there you are. You have to make a choice. This is one of those times for each one of us. Are we going to tuck our tails and run and let general contractors continue to run over us in the legislature? He continued by saying, we're subcontractors. We take risks every day. It's nothing new to us. So go in the bathroom and look at yourself in the mirror. Are you up to the challenge? They took a vote and to proceed anyway with forming the Texas Construction Association.
The next thing was figure out who's going to be in charge. Who can we get to run this association? Well, to me, that was a no-brainer. There was only one guy. Raymond Risk had been in the forefront of our legislative effort at ASAT, and if he would take the job, he was the only man for the job as far as I was concerned. So we talked him into it, and Raymond took a leap of faith. I mean, a big leap of faith. He, he had his own company. He was a painting contractor, and he had to get rid of that company and come to work as head of a brand new association that had no money and had no idea where we were headed. We just knew we needed to do something.
Now, I want to take a brief minute here and say that subcontractors in Texas owe a lot to Raymond Risk. Raymond Risk is a very intelligent guy, and he does not know how to quit.
One of the smartest guys I know. But the funny thing is, I remember when I first met Raymond, very first ASAT meeting I went to. I was at one end of the table, Raymond was at the other end, and he had on a purple jacket, and I still remember he had on Jesus sandals. And I thought to myself, where the hell did this guy come from? But of course we became great friends, and I finally started understanding where Raymond was coming from.
It looked like he's wearing house shoes all the time. He had some of the ugliest shoes I've ever seen in my life. Yeah, Raymond was definitely a hippie dresser. There's no question about that. That was the talk of everybody. Everybody knew what Raymond was when it came to dressing. Yeah.
Really? Well, purple, as many people know now, the Texas legislature, all around the country really, you have the red guys and you have the blue guys. And if a lot of the people are very staunchly red or staunchly blue, And it seems to me and that purple is the color to be, because from our position as advocates for our industry, you know, we don't pick Republicans, we don't pick Democrats, we don't go by red or blue. We go by what's good for our members. And so purple happens to be right in the middle of red and blue. And so it's hard for them to get upset over there if you're wearing purple.
It was either 1999 or 2001, and we, you know, our walk on the Capitol, we met at Lakeway, and we got there the night before, and we had some meetings, and then we had breakfast and a briefing, and then we all got on a bus. And I want to say that I think all of us were on one bus, and I'm talking about, when I say all of us, I'm talking everybody from Texas.
Seemed like to me it was Travis Blair, one of our ex-chairmen, that when I was talking to him about, you know, it doesn't, you know, looks pretty slim now. He just said, we need to have a golf tournament. And I said, what? And he said, yeah, people love to play golf. And I said, oh, okay. And he says, yeah, our association, I think he was talking about the Plumbing Heating Contractors Association maybe at that time. You know, we just had a tournament. We made, I don't remember what it was, $5,000, $10,000. I went, oh, that's nice. He said, yeah. Now, what I didn't realize at the time was that Travis really liked to play golf a lot. And so I don't know. I'm sure he did it only for the to help TCA, but he'd get to play golf another time or two. And we wound up in the first year or second year of doing this golf thing. I remember we did 3 tournaments one year in a 6-month span. And we even had these monies budgeted because we really needed the extra money.
We were doing at least 2 a year, and usually one in Dallas and one in either San Antonio or Houston. I still remember one we did at Canyon Springs in San Antonio, and it was probably like the second one we did. And when I showed up, Raymond was already there. And Raymond was not a golfer, so he really didn't know how you should dress or how you should look. But boy, he was colorful that day.
I think everybody thought they could swing a stick, and we enjoyed swinging a stick. I don't know if any of us were really that great at it, but we sure thought we were.
I couldn't have found a better working partner in the first, I don't know how many years, 20 years of TCA, 18 years, whatever it was, than Richard. I mean, we were very fortunate indeed, and a lot of associations that work in the Capitol don't have that kind of person who can deal with so many facets of that particular industry. And Richard and I were on the phone talking about a lien bill, I think it was, a lien law bill, and you know, we're talking about this, and Richard says, you know, I need to get Fred in here just to make sure we're because he's the lien law expert, you know, he's the author. And I said, yeah, okay, go get him. So Fred would come in, and Richard and I had this idea. I don't remember at all what it was. We had this idea about how to do something legislatively, and we were telling it to Fred, and Fred says, well, you can't do that. How are you going to do that? And Richard says, well, Raymond says we just do it. And Fred says, what? He says, well, you just say it. You just put it down in law. And so this was the time when Fred hadn't been actively involved in what he was more tangentially involved through Richard about what we were doing, active but not directly with me as much. And the point is that Fred kind of got a small baptism there in how this legislative process works, because if the legislature says this is the way it is, if they say red is green, then red is green. And
as we well know, it's way, way easier to kill a bill than it is to pass it. And we have passed some bills just because of the creativity of our lobby group and Raymond heading that up. And so, some of my most enjoyable times in the practice of law have been simply brainstorming with Raymond and his colleagues at TCA about, okay, this didn't work, what can we try next? Or, a legislator or senator has a problem with this particular issue with one of our bills. How can we creatively come up with a solution to it? And those brainstorming sessions are they are intellectually stimulating, demanding, and impressive all at the same time. I really enjoy working with Raymond in all the different capacities, but he's been a real asset to TCA, and I think the people that have been added over the years, like Jennifer and Patrick and several other people that are now retired, have all contributed significantly to TCA and its success, and certainly our lobbyists.
it was a realization that I had after working ungodly hours for our association, that we needed some help. We needed to reach out, because I was doing pretty much all the lobbying and drafting and running the association, although it was small at the time. And we were getting in much more complex issues, and we needed some help. We had, over time, had some outside counsel, but it was time that or outside lobbying, lobbyists, I should say, but it seemed like it was time that we brought somebody in-house. And we were lucky in that a guy named Harold Freeman, he had connections, he had some good connections, and the nice thing that Harold brought, I think, was strong connections, and where you had people in the Capitol saying what a wonderful guy he is.
Well, being the lobbyist, you didn't have to know the law necessarily, and it helped. But we had Richard Thomas to know the law. I mean, that was, and his partner, and then also whenever I came, Richard Bruins had already been working with the association in lobbying the role, and so everything's pretty much all set up. My role is just basically I knew I've been around the Capitol for 20 odd years with that time, and so pretty much knew everybody and everybody friend, and I enjoyed the Capitol and I enjoyed the people. And it became very successful, and TCA is a moving force in the legislature, and they have a presence and they have a voice, and that's what you want.
And Harold, I think, just decided, I've had enough of this stuff. I have a nice house built out in Driftwood. I have some olive trees. I got my grapevines. I like making wine. I like drinking wine. It's a nice life out there, and I think it's time I go. And so Harold just came in one day and said, I thought I was going to be here a little longer, but it's time for me to go. And so he was, I think, pretty happy to send out his, nice to have known all y'all, but I'm gone now. And
I was trying to retire, and he kept saying no. So Raymond, I've been so many sessions, and finally the only way I could ever retire, email is a good way to retire. We had an executive board, so I just decided one day, I want to go do some other things and they make wine, do other stuff, and so what I did, I emailed the executive board telling me how I've enjoyed. It's been good. But after this year, I'll be out of here. But I hadn't told Raymond yet. And but when you press send on an email, particularly to an executive board, you can't take it back. So within 2 or 3 minutes, Susan was answered the phone and she was trying to connect one executive board member to Raymond, and I said, don't connect it yet. Let me. I need to go down and talk to Raymond. So, but anyway, Raymond was one of the most accomplished, experienced executive directors of a trade association in Austin, and I knew a lot of trade associations. I worked for the Medical Association. My wife worked for Bankers Association for many years, and Raymond ran a very good ship, and I appreciate that.
A lot of it was based on just the righteousness of the cause. Some of it was based on luck. The other side made some errors in legislative strategy, and we took advantage of them. But it finally got into law, and now we have a bill that hadn't been overturned since it got into law in 2011. And it's a very good bill for our industry, and that kind of thing sure made me a happy boy because it took a long time, and it also was a celebration, I think, with Richard Thomas, our general counsel, because he worked on it for many years also.
Let me tell you, they were intense. They were very intense. At one point, a crotchety old general contractor who worked with a company who everybody would recognize the name of, all the people in the industry in Texas, he called Mackie Bounds stupid, at which time Mackie Bounds shot to his feet. And if any of you know Mackie Bounds, he is 6'5" if he's an inch. He probably exceeds 6'5". His feet look like snowshoes. He's a big guy. He was not overweight. He was not overweight at all. He looked more like a defensive end than a masonry contractor that he was. And he was mad, and when he shot to his feet, the veins were popping out of his neck, and the way he was staring at that man was really frightening for everybody. Nobody knew what to do. Well, 2 of his fellow subs who were sitting next to him stood up and grabbed him and got him to sit down, and we proceeded with the discussion. But let me tell you, that crotchety old man, who, by the way, everybody in the industry respected, but he was still a crotchety old guy, he did not say a word the rest of the day.
I met the governor and the future president. Me and him had a few harsh words on the telephone one day, but it came out all right. He was just it was going through the telephone, through our plumbing board. He was just doing some things that most plumbers didn't like, and I got mad one day and come home and called on the telephone. I asked for the governor, and they let me talk to him. And he just told me that I need to calm down.
Was this Governor Bush?
No, Governor Bush, But it was fun. I'd do it again.
By the way, that's been our goal the entire time. We didn't want to slant anything in our favor. We just wanted a level playing field that was fair for everybody.
You can kind of go on and on about all the different things that TCA has successfully worked to modify. And like I say, it's really just to level the playing field. It's not to give an unfair advantage to subcontractors or suppliers. And I think TCA has acquitted itself at a very high level. And so, anybody who's a subcontractor is so inherently independent, but it doesn't take a whole lot of farsightedness to recognize if we work together on these issues of mutual benefit, all of us will be in a better position to make, to have profitable years, even with the intense competition we have with our fellow subcontractors.
Must say that we've had some outstanding women members of TCA who've been true leaders in our profession, and they've made a difference, a big difference. We've had, Jo Ray Wagner in the Valley, who became a national president of her organization. We have Carmen Artry, currently serving on our board of directors, mechanical contractor in Dallas. Darlene East, she was the president of her national association. We have Sandy Farrell, Farrell Roofing out of Houston, early TCA board member who got the roofing contractors involved. And then we have, I mentioned Travis Blair as the first chairman of TCA, but it was Gloria Blair, who was president of her national association, who really ran Alpha Mechanical. Travis would tell me, I just kind of get in the way out there with our company, and then Gloria shoos me off to go play golf.
And at that time, if I'm not blowing my own horn, I think I was the only one, and it kind of broke the ice. And since then, there have been other women who I know. I don't know them personally, but I have heard, other women in different states that have gone through being president of their organization.
These people were outstanding businesswomen. They were valuable to TCA in its formative year and now, its formative years and right now, and we've only benefited from their input in the association and to our construction industry.
I think one of the biggest things, other than our legislative effort, is the workers' comp program. TCA has an excellent workers' comp program. It's helped many of our contractors that might not have even, been able to get workers' comp, or at least not at a reasonable price. But it's been a really good thing for the association and for the association's members.
For instance, our major one is our workers' comp safety group with Texas Mutual Insurance Company that Gene O'Hara of ANCO Insurance Services is administrator of it, and done a great job over the last, I guess it's, getting close to 20 years that program's been in place. It's now the largest worker comp safety group for construction in the state. It gets great premium discounts, great dividend program for our members, and so it's done a lot. We have all kinds of member benefit programs that wouldn't be possible except for the size of our organization now. I'm hopeful that the legislature understands now the role that subcontractors, suppliers have in the construction industry. I mean, it's profound. It's significant. It is not just a little passive thing. It's huge. I mean, we're the guys that build the buildings.
You have to make them realize that it's not just the money, it's the talent. It's the education that went into that. And all that comes from the contractors and getting together, like Raymond has really done a really good job over the years of doing that.
It is. There is a lot that goes on here. You know, I've been real a stickler over the years for making sure that everybody here focuses on just one thing at a time. Because I think if you focus on one thing at a time, you're better off. You can get that job accomplished, and you're on to the next thing. This multitasking thing, that's for the birds. So we don't do that here. We're very, very focused, and we try to keep our offices in such a way that it allows us to do that kind of stuff.
What contractors do, they are can-do people. I truly believe if a request for proposal was put out for a bridge to the moon, you would have serious questions coming in about, okay, you know, when we exit the stratosphere, you know, can we use such and such materials or equal? And, you know, it's like there's nothing they're not willing to try to tackle. So they're an amazing group. And what we are is, you know, we are a group that supports them in a very important way on the side.
The construction community is just one of the greatest groups of people in the world. And yeah, I'm proud of what I've accomplished through our business and through the support of TCA. I tell you what, being a construction subcontractor is not easy. And anybody who thinks it is fooling themselves. But with the help and support of organizations like TCA, we can survive and we can thrive. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what's going to happen in the next 10 to 15 years.